Now that we're in phase 2, scanning and enumeration, we've got to find a hole in the network in order to break in. Since this is an introductory course, we're going to use ZenMap, which is a graphical user interface for the world's most popular scanning tool, Nmap. ZenMap is truly powerful because it uses Nmap as its workhorse to do all the scanning, but provides us with the easy-to-use graphical interface that makes setting up our scans simple and consolidates all of our text-based output from Nmap into a nice, concise format for us to read. Another great feature of ZenMap is the ability to customize the scan parameters. It provides us the command line syntax that would be required by Nmap to perform the scan, but then allows us to add or change those parameters to make it a more refined scan. The final benefit of ZenMap is that it also creates a database of the past scans, which can be saved for future reference. This is a wonderful feature to aid in your documentation of the network and allows us to go back to those details in the future if we need them. So what kind of information do we need to get started, and what kind of information are we going to find during our scanning? Well, to get started, we're going to need either an IP address or a range of IPs. We should have that information, though, from our reconnaissance phase. Using that information, we're going to perform different scans to determine different levels of information. Our most basic scan are simply pings to determine if the machines are up and responding on the network. This certainly falls into the scanning category in our scanning and enumeration phase. Next, we're going to begin scanning for open ports. Then we'll finally move into more in-depth scans where we can use that information received to perform a basic enumeration of the host to determine the operating system, the version of the software, and more. So let's get started trying to find those holes. Now before we begin scanning our network, we need to set up our network to ensure they're all still on an isolated net. To do this, we're going to open up VirtualBox. From VirtualBox, we're going to go to Preferences, and then we're going to click on Network. And we're going to click on Host-Only Network to create a network just for our virtual machines to use. We're going to click on the adapter to add with the plus sign, and you'll see you now have VirtualBox Net 0. We're then going to click on the screwdriver icon, which is going to allow us to configure it, and it has by default 192.168.56.1. That's fine, we can use that, but we do want to set up a DHCP server, so we'll click on that and say Enable Server. We're going to use 192.168.56.1 as our server. Our mask will be a standard Class C, 255, 255, 255, 0. Our lower bound will hand out IPs starting at 100, so 192.168.56.100, and our upper bound we'll use as 50, 192.168.56.150. This will give us 50 IPs that can be handed out to our virtual machines. Since we only have 3, that's going to be plenty for us. We'll hit OK, and then hit OK again. Now we need to set up each machine in network to use them. So we'll click on Kali, and then click Network. Go to Network, and select from Internal Network to Host-Only Adapter. And again, we use the same one we used before, VBox Net 0. Hit OK. We'll go to Windows. We'll do the same thing. Click on Network. Go to Host-Only Adapter, VBox Net 0, and hit OK. And then Metasploitable. Click on Network, and go to Host-Only Adapter, VBox Net 0. At this point, we're going to start launching our virtual machines. To do that, we'll simply left-click on the name, Kali, and then Start. I'm going to go back while that's booting up and start up my Windows. And I'm going to go back again and start up Metasploitable. So now we can cycle through those machines and see where they are in the boot process. Once they boot up, they're going to be able to pick up their own IP address using that DHCP. So we'll click on Kali, and then we're going to cycle over to our Metasploitable machine, and then we're going to cycle over to our Windows machine. Now, just to verify that they've actually picked up the IP address, let's go ahead and do an ipconfig on Windows, open up the command prompt, and do ipconfig. And you can see that it got the first IP address, 192.168.56.100. At this point, we can cycle over to our Metasploitable machine. We're going to log in. Again, it's msfadmin for the password. And we can do ifconfig since this is Linux. And you can verify here 192.168.56.101. Now in the real world, your machines are already going to be online. This is just because of our simulation that we have access to them. We just want to know what we're looking at. We're going to go back to our Kali machine. And this is where we're going to do all of our work for the rest of this lesson.